You survived Martin, the show.
You know, when the show ended, there was tension between you and Martin. You had filed a lawsuit against him.
Like R.
He
Kelly.
said it wasn't true.
If you notice that last season, because Martin couldn't be on not only the set, but he couldn't even be on the lot. At the same time, Tisha was on the lot.
Never have I ever said a bad, unkind thing about the show, about Martin Lawrence, and I never will.
Now, recently, actress Tisha Campbell, a clip of her interview went viral in which it seemed that she was basically defending Martin Lawrence, right?
Never have I ever said a bad, unkind thing about the show, about Martin Lawrence, and I never will.
And
So they used to say that he was sticking his fingers in her mouth.
Son, nobody said that, man.
He was sneaking, put his fingers.
Son, that's something you can't. He wasn't trying to stop Martin.
And so obviously we know her for the TV show Martin, which she played Gina alongside Martin as his love interest. And there has been a lot of conversation in regards to the show, especially lately, I feel like. Very recently, Tashina Arnold, who played Pam on the show, was actually defending the show based off of comments that Ari Lennox had about the TV show.
You know, pissed me off about Martin was how much he would go on Pam. And I just feel like growing up as a chocolate girl, like, I don't even know if I was able to understand the greatness of Pam.
Never, ever, ever came from a brown skin thing. So we
Yeah, Ari Lennox can't get over her childhood.
Right. She got some psychological block.
Yeah, a lot of dark skinned women. I ain't really teased chocolate girls or whatever, but
I did. Nobody's exempt.
nobody's exempt.
have jokes, but those jokes were never written from malice.
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
written
yeah.
from who's got the best
Who's
joke.
got the best shit, right?
Yeah.
Ari Lennox need to get over herself. And plus, what you talking about the greatness of Pam? She was all right. Greatness? What the fuck? She ain't
Pam
breeding
had
slaves
yams.
or nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
never
she did
got
have great
one,
ass.
so.
And so Tisha Campbell sat down and she was talking about the show because the way that the interviewer asked the question was basically kind of like she survived the show, right?
Survived
So I'm going to go ahead and get into all of the conversation, all the details. And of course, I'm going to give you guys my thoughts, my feelings, my opinion on this entire situation.
You survived Martin, the show. And I know there's not much you can talk about it, but as you think back over those
Let me just
times-
stop you.
If you guys are unaware of why he asked the question in that way, back in the day, right, the show allegedly ended based off of discrepancies between Gina and Martin.
They said Mom was trying to stick his fingers on her mouth.
Son, he wasn't trying to. You made that up, man. Nobody said that. How you gonna stick his finger in her mouth?
Like
while
they
he's
told him to do the kiss movie. Stick it right in
So
there.
you saying she just got a lot of space in her?
He was trying to do freaky shit to her. He said he was humping on her butt when they was laying on the side and
I
stuff.
heard him and Pam was getting it in a little bit.
That's what
though.
they said. They
On
said he
the
was
low.
rubbing pants with Gina. She didn't want to rub pants.
What?
Tisha Campbell and Martin Lawrence, right? It's something that was even talked about by another cast member, Brahman, who basically, exposed the fact that for the whole last season of the show, they were unable to film together because they were going through a legal battle.
If
Don't
you
listen to
notice,
Brahman.
that last season, we didn't have an audience. They didn't have an audience because it was the tension, because Martin couldn't be on not only the set, but he couldn't even be on the lot. At the same time, Tisha was on the lot. It was like, a lawyer type thing.
Taking it a step further, okay, it was alleged that there was some kind of harassment going on basically Tisha Campbell was a victim of, that Martin Lawrence was, doing too much, right? Whether that was, kissing her in ways that she didn't agree with, whether that was groping or whatever the case is. And that ultimately led to the demise of the TV show, right? And so
they say.
Being asked, about this survived question, he thought that he was coming from the narrative of, what he saw took place at that time. And she decided to bring some clarity to the conversation.
I'm going to stop you
Come on,
right
stop
there.
me right there,
I'm going to
sis.
stop you right
Come on.
there. Never have I ever said a bad, unkind thing about the show, about Martin Lawrence, and I never will.
Now, though she has not publicly said anything defamatory, disrespected Martin, or said anything derogatory against him, there was indeed a lawsuit, right?
Someone needed to create a
damn
path
it.
that would allow Black
There go Ari
musicians
Lennox.
from all walks of life to share their God-given.
Right? As you can see here, it says in 1997, Campbell sued Lawrence for sexual harassment on and off the screen. According to an article by Jet Magazine, y'all remember Jet from back in the day, it says Campbell listed sexual battery, verbal abuse, yelling and threatening her on set, groping her when they filmed scenes in bed, and attempting to kiss her with tongue in her lawsuit.
And sticking his fingers in her mouth.
Why said that, man?
She refused to film scenes with Lawrence during season 5 of Martin, and the show ultimately ended after that season. Now, in 2020, during an interview with GQ magazine, Martin Lawrence was interviewed for the movie Bad Boys for Life. And during the interview, he was asked, quote, why Martin ended. And he replied, quote, well, how can I say this? It just was time to end. Let's just put it that way. It was just at that time. There were some things that were being said that, and he was cut off by the interviewer who asked him, you're talking about Tisha Campbell's lawsuit, where Martin Lawrence replied, and he said, yeah. The interviewer brought up the fact that he noticed that they had been spending time together lately, and Martin Lawrence replied, yeah, because none of that was true. It was a lot of BS. Martin Lawrence also said, we don't need to talk about something that just didn't happen, so I just decided to walk away from the show. I just decided to end it. People said that I got canceled, but that wasn't the case. I decided to leave the show. So again,
So he didn't stick his finger in her mouth. Well, she likes having fingers in her mouth.
Allegations. All allegations.
We don't know if any of that stuff was true.
And really, they might be doing a reboot or something like that. That's why now she, no, I never said nothing. Nothing was ever wrong.
I wanted to say he didn't do nothing to me. Martin never stuck his fingers in her big ass mouth. That's what you need to say.
Stop saying that, man. He wasn't doing all that. You something, man.
They said that was his fetish.
What? Sticking his fingers in her mouth while he was kissing her?
Maybe that was me.
That's huge.
Publicly ever openly said anything about Martin Lawrence in a derogatory way? No, she has not publicly ever said anything like that in an interview setting or talked bad about him throughout the years.
So why she didn't squash it back then?
That lawsuit was weight enough, right? It was heavy enough to even, cancel the show, right? And so I think, obviously, in hindsight, I think it was a good time for the show to have ended. But, just being clear, bringing clarity to the situation. Again, this is why this interviewer now, which is Tigga, most of us know as Tigga, who is asking the question, is using the terminology that he's using.
You survived, Martin, the show.
So I don't see him using that terminology in necessarily a wrong way. But her bringing the clarity,
going by what he heard.
Is just to clear the air moving forward based off of that situation.
I will protect him to the day I don't care what people think about me. To the day I will never say a bad or unkind word to any media outlet ever.
Now let me say this.
So just say he never touched me or never did nothing.
Right, so he was lying.
That's what I want you to hear.
Yeah, say he was lying before. False allegations.
Well, the false allegations could have been from Jet Magazine. You know what I mean? Was there a lawsuit? And if they reported that and it wasn't true, did you countersue and say, look,
right,
they lying about something that's going on?
Well, that was never mentioned. Nobody said anything about that.
Reva has a theory about what actually happened.
We like Reva.
And I want to be very, very clear with you guys. Okay? I love Tisha Campbell. I love her from every role I've ever seen. I love her from House Party. Okay? Love her as Gina. Love her as J. Kyle. Okay? For My Wife and Kids. I love this woman. So I don't ever want that to get misconstrued. I don't ever want anybody to get the wrong idea at all, okay? From what I'm understanding, what happened at the time is that she was married to actor Dwayne Martin, who a lot of people believe, it was him who was the one who made her or forced her to do these things against Martin because of some kind.
And that's before he was doing it to Will Smith, so he had a lot of time to work.
I know we don't know if somebody was doing it to Will Smith, man.
That's what Brother Bilal said.
He did.
Of jealousy, right? There's even clips of them at award shows where she is clearly laughing, and the only person in the crowd who was not laughing was her ex-husband, Dwayne.
This nigga ain't funny. He don't think he funny worth a damn. He hate the Martin show. Everybody crying.
Everybody laughing.
is clearly laughing, and the only person in the crowd who was not laughing
That is funny.
was her ex-husband, Dwayne Martin.
That's funny. That's all
Anytime
hate.
that we've ever seen them, besides that situation or that time frame,
If he catch Martin by himself, he'd do it to him. Pause.
Actually,
Right.
Nah,
He like, if I catch this little
what probably
nigga.
happened is she probably, you know what I'm saying?
was
Had
like,
some sort of relation.
yeah,
She probably
yeah.
wanted them fingers in her mouth. She's like, but you got fingers in your mouth.
Son, cut it out,
You
man.
never, I always want to put my fingers in your mouth.
Right, you know, him and Will Smith had their chemistry, so he felt some kind of way about that. And
That's why he stopped worrying about it. He had to do that.
man,
To get over one, you got to get, I
I don't
don't know how to go with men.
Yeah, we don't
we've always seen
entanglement.
them hugging each other. We've always seen her like running up to him and wrapping her arms around him and showing him a lot of love. So it would lead me to believe that maybe, it wasn't her own allegations against him, and that maybe she was, forced to say those things to maybe save her marriage or whatever the case is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I really
He did a white woman. Oh.
Yeah, son, stop, son.
He raped her.
Allegedly.
She tried to Emmett Till Martin.
Son, nobody tried to
Dwayne and Tisha Campbell Martin tried to Emmett Till Martin.
We don't know this, man. Kind of look like that, but we can't say that.
Man. And then later when she divorced him, when she found out about Will Smith,
it's cool. I never say anything bad about Martin.
You should have stood up then.
Yeah.
Oh man, y'all let the whole
this
thing
boy. Let this boy
to
trick.
point out is the fact that men
Allegedly
are a different type of species.
Can we please give a standing ovation to Martin Lawrence?
Yes, please. Can we please? Please stand up and give it up.
Oh, the pants so high.
We always talk about men being the prize or women being the prize, and I always said, in totality, the relationship is the prize. When you have a good man and when you have a good woman, that is a prize, right? However, men are the most forgiving creatures. Okay,
you don't even know what she about to say, and you nodding up and down.
Son, I'm agreeing with
how are
this
men the most forgiving people?
Because
you don't know.
we
You
are,
about
son.
to accept some male praise.
Because we are, man.
And what example? How does that apply to this?
Women can be the most selfish creatures in the world. Man, we eat a lot of crow, man. We eat a lot of crow. Like Martin, the show got canceled because of what? You heard what Brother Man said. He couldn't even be on the set of his own goddamn show. So now they cool. Now she kissing more cheek 20 years later. Yeah, let bygones be bygones. Yeah. Man, we eat crow, man.
Right. If it's a woman, she'd have hated a nigga forever, no matter what.
Forever.
Did a
Woman school.
in some way.
because those are allegations that could have not only just canceled the show, but could have tarnished his career. Didn't, but it absolutely could have. And when you see him and when you see them together, he's always showing her love. He don't ever walk around with no problem.
That person needs protection, and I will protect him till I.
Oh my
I
God.
love that loyalty.
It's loyalty now, right? You know,
said that?
it
Who
is
just said I
loyalty.
love that
And
loyalty?
regardless of whatever situation happened at that time, you know, people do grow, they evolve. Sometimes people don't even understand the magnitude of the things that they do. You know, and it's something that she has spoken about before, because y'all know somebody gonna call somebody out for something, it's gonna be Gail, okay? And so at one point she sat down with Gail King, and Gail, you know, even asked her about the situation and the lawsuit.
This dog-headed whore.
Right. Gail was like, so tell me about how hard did Martin rape you? You like, what? What?
Right, did he penetrate you without a condom? Like, wait a minute.
Did he beat you with rope?
Right,
tie
come
you
on,
up?
man. We know how Gail get down. That's Oprah people. That's
Can't
Oprah's
stand her.
husband.
How did she not make it into The Color Purple? She wasn't in it at all.
She didn't make it, man.
The show ended. There was tension between you and Martin. You had filed a lawsuit against him, and he said it wasn't true. How were you able to get back on track with him? Because clearly you guys have worked it out.
Gail was like, remember that lawsuit? She didn't ask about survived or whatever. She came straight. Okay, that lawsuit that you filed. I see y'all cool now, but what about that lawsuit? What happened? She said it wasn't true. What's the situation now? She like, I want clarity.
She want to know about the grapes. She want to hear Lady Payne.
I don't think
She Oprah homie. That's how they get down. They need pain.
Yeah.
She want to hear that Lady Payne. Tell me about your Lady Payne.
Payne.
Tell me about your Lady Payne. Tell me about the evil men. What they did to you. Why I'm not married at 90 years old. But mine is coming around the way.
She is married. She married to Oprah.
Don't say that. Don't say that about them.
I want clarity. Because again, those are what you call damning allegations. It wasn't just like, oh, me and him got into an argument on set. Even if it was just a verbal, allegation that she had against him that, he would just talk down to staff or he was disrespectful. That's one thing, right? That's something like, yeah, that's wrong, but that's one thing. But taking it as far as like he's taking it too far on set, in scenes, in this, in that, and you feel you can't come to set because you feel unsafe is a whole other ballgame. And she talked about, evolution and growing and the fact that they worked hard to forgive one another.
We worked really hard to reconnect, to forgive, and it's really, this reunion is about a celebration of everything that we did, everything that we accomplished, and our growth as human beings.
To say that we worked hard to forgive would mean that maybe there was some untruth there, right? In those allegations. Right? He said it was all BS. He's like, there's no way that me and her in those
what I don't like is she's just not plainly saying, look, he never did anything to me.
Right, she's not fessing up to it.
Yeah, just straight up, he never ever did anything
She's not
to
gonna
me
do that either.
in any way. Like, I will protect him. That still sounds like he might have, you know what I'm saying? That leaves a might have, he could have did something, but it wasn't that serious, or I'm not gonna turn him in. He never touched me. He never did nothing like that.
Yo,
my husband was pressuring me. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's the real accountability thing to do.
Right.
I was
never happened.
This man was in my ear. He's my husband. He told me to get rid of this dude. Or, which my personal theory is, you know what I'm saying, Martin was hitting it when he liked to. And you know what I'm saying, Dwayne found out.
Yeah, it's like,
he's like, yo, you got to go.
Yeah.
And then she pulled it in the till. Well, no, I don't be wanting to, but he always
You said she pulled the what, son?
in the till.
Lying ass.
Would mean that maybe there was some untruth there, right? In those allegations, right? He said it was all BS. He's like, there's no way that me and her could be this cool that we are now if all that stuff that she said about me was true. Which I think we can all kind of agree to that, right? I think we can all kind of agree to that, right? But the fact that the two of them have worked together to reconcile, and he's been so, we ain't never heard him talk about it, right? The only time was during that movie interview when somebody asked a question, and he was just like, that's foolishness. We don't even need to talk about that because that's not even, there's no relevancy of that situation. And again, I have to just say that, there's so many times that men get hit with things or and it's almost as if men are expected to forgive, right? It's like if a man is not forgiving of women because women are the weaker vessel, it's like something is wrong with him and he's tripping and he's emotional or he's sassy or whatever, right? It's like almost as if men are expected to forgive, but if the shoe was on the other foot in these exact same situations, there would never be reconciliation.
Never.
There would never be support. There would never be love. There would never be any kind of rekindling anything.
They don't even keep their friends.
Nope. Woman's
and
going.
I just think that's a truth that we all have to understand, right? Because again, though it did not damage his career, it could have. The greatness that we saw after Martin could have never existed based off of what happened in the ending of that show. So her saying now, moving forward, that she has nothing but love for him, that she's going to protect him.
That person needs protection, and I will protect him till I
love
protection from what? From you?
Right.
Your allegations
in the lawsuit. And your ex-husband.
Right.
That's why I want her to plainly say, yo, that was BS.
She won't, son.
He never touched me in any way. He never did anything that I didn't agree to.
Women are big on accountability, son.
I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. Did Martin used to stick his fingers in her mouth, and did she like it or not?
Let me say something before we end this off, son. Okay. Martin and Tisha Campbell been working together for a long time, even from the house party days. Right. Remember, he was like the DJ, and she was one of the.
Yeah, he known for a long time. Yeah.
But boom,
that we can see. Who knows behind the scenes?
No doubt.
Longer, yeah.
But the Martin show in the 90s, oh man, you couldn't touch it. Nothing was really touching Martin show back in the day.
Right.
Yeah, Martin, Shanae and all them, and Cole, and nah, man.
She ruined it with her dirty lies.
Saying with her dirty lies.
Anyway, speaking of dirty lies, D.L. Hewley's daughter, she said she used to take dirty dicks all the time, but now she like them clean.
Allegedly.
That's what she said. She should like a dirty sausage. That was